Hey there, welcome back. So, in this class, we're going to be going over radio buttons, check buttons, and scale widgets. So, the reason why we're going over 3 widgets today is because they're pretty small and there's not much to them. So, we'll go over them pretty quickly one by one. And also, just as a note, if you hear any background noise, that's because I'm moving and we're moving boxes and stuff like that. So yeah, just ignore the background noise. We're going to be going over the widgets one by one, and I'm going to go over the parameters and then the methods of each widget, and we'll do some things with them. So we'll start off with the radio button, and we'll create a variable called radio button 1. We'll have it set to a radio button. There we go. And then first parameter is text, and so it's pretty explanatory. And we'll have option. We'll have it set to option 1, and then let's pack this. And then if you run this, you'll be able to see our radio button. Oops. There we go. So it's a button like that, and yeah, that's run check. Now we have variable, and basically, to be able to use a radio button, if it's not like connected to anything, it's kind of useless since you can't input data through it. So let's say we have a variable. No, okay, we won't create a variable yet. We'll create a variable over here. So variable, we'll call it radio variable, and then we have value, and we'll set it to 1. And basically what we want to happen is when this radio button is clicked, we want this variable to be set to 1. And then if we have other radio buttons, we want them to be set to, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. So for that, we need to actually create a variable above this radio variable, and so usually you'd think that you have to just set it to 0, and then it'll change the number over here. But that's not how it works in Tkinter. You have to use well, there's string var, and there's int var, and then there's double var, I believe. Yeah, double var is basically a float. So in this case, since this is an integer, we'll use int var. There we go. And yeah, it just sets the value of radio variable to 1. Now let's quickly create a button so that we can print radio variable, and so we can see how it changes. So we'll call it button 1. Oops. Button 1 is equal to button. Oops, there we go. Text is equal to button. And then we'll have command is equal to print, let's say, print radio. And we'll create a variable. Sorry, I mean a function. Def print radio. And over here we'll just print this, and for now we'll type in pass for a bit, because I need to go over some other methods, because you can't just do print radio. Oops, you can't do print radio variable, because if we were to do this, pack it button1.pack. If I did this wouldn't really do anything, because it prints pi var 0, which is not 0 or 1. So we'll go over some stuff a bit later. And I'll just type in pass. Now, basically, to be able to print what radio variable is set to, we need to use .get, or we need to use the .get method. Basically, in this case, we can do print and then radio variable dot get, and it gets what the int var is set to, because radio variable is always set to int var, but we need to find out what int var is set to, basically what the variable is. So now it'll work. So you can see we have nothing selected, and so if I click the button, it prints out 0. If I have option 1 selected, it'll print out 1. There you go. Now let's create, like, I don't know, 2 more radio buttons. So radio button 2 is the radio button. Oh, I can just copy this. There you go, and we'll change this to 3. Option 2 and option 3, and then value 2, value 3. Oh, and let me just pack it. Keep forgetting. Radio button 2.pack. Radio button 3.pack. Honestly, you can have a lot more radio buttons and stuff like that. So over here, we have our 3 options. When we click the button, it prints out 0. Option 1, it'll print out 1. Option 2, print out 2. Option 3, it'll print out 3. And let's say we wanted to set these to strings. Let's say option 1, option 2, option 3. And we can't just leave it like this, because if we do it this way, we're gonna get an error. So if you could if nothing's selected, it'll just print out 0. But if you select option 1, there you go, we get an error because it expected a integer. So then we need to change this from int var to string var. And now, yeah, so I have option 1 selected, prints out option 1, option 2, option 3. And we have another method for the radio button, and it's called set. Basically, it just sets the value of the variable to something. So let's say we want it at the start. We want the variables to be set to option 0 instead of 0. So we'll have radio variable dot set, and we'll have option 0. So now if we'll have nothing selected, it will print option 0, and then obviously option 1, option 2, and option 3. So yeah, then we have select and deselect, and this is a bit more basic than all this, and we'll create another button called button 2 is equal to button text is equal to select, command is equal to select button. So for button, actually no, I just do button, and then button 3 is equal to button text is equal to deselect, and command is equal to deselect. Oops, select button, and we'll create the functions def select button, and basically in here we'll use the select method. So we'll just have let's say we want radio button 3 to be selected, so radio button 3 dot select, and that's it. Now let's create another function called deselect. Oh no, yeah, deselect button. Then we'll deselect radio button 3. Radio button 3 dot deselect. Okay, let's test it out. Now it works normally, so I click option 1, prints out option 1. Oh, we didn't pack him. Sorry. Keep on forgetting, it's kind of. There we go, button 3. Oh, that pack. Okay, it looks kind of disorganized, but that's fine. So option 1 prints option 1, option 3, and then we click deselect, and it looks slightly weird for Mac, but for Windows it'll deselect normally, but this is deselected, so if you click something it'll just select that one. And then if we click select, it selects that button. If we have something deselected, it'll select this. So that's it for the radio button. Now we'll start with the check button. I'll delete all this. We'll create a variable called check button 1. We'll set it to check button. And actually we have, it has most of the same parameters, so text, there we go, text, we'll call it again option 1, or no, we'll change it up and call it check button 1, and then we'll create check button 2, it's check button, text is equal to check button 2, and I'll create a third one quickly. There we go. And now if I pack them, oh, I forgot to mention earlier, you can also pack them pack them onto the screen without doing this. So check button 1.pack. All you need to do is just add .pack to here, and that'll work well. But honestly, I don't really recommend you use it because it can make things slightly disorganized and messed up. And plus, it'll be hard to organize if you're using grid and stuff. It'll be kind of hard to organize them into. Well, yeah, it's just gonna be disorganized. So over here we have checkboxes, so they're square. There we go. We get ticks in them once we click them. And yeah, you can select them and deselect them, unlike the radio buttons. So we have mostly the same things for check button. So we have the value parameter. No, the variable parameter, I mean. And we'll have variable set to check var. I'll just copy paste this to each and every one of them. There we go. And then we have on value and off value. So here to have on value, we'd have CB for a check button on. No. Yeah, okay. Check button on, and then for off value, we'll have CB off. Alright, and to differentiate between 1, 2, and 3, we'll have CB1 on, CB1 off. And I'll copy paste this to these, which is just to CB2 on, CB3 on, CB2 off, and CB3 off. And again, we'll create a variable. We'll call it check bar, and we'll set it to, since these are strings, we'll have string var. And finally, we'll create a button so that it's a bit easier to print out. Check bar, print button. Oh, there you go. Button text is equal to print, and command will have it set to print. Well, just, yeah, simple. And up above here we'll have def print, and we'll have print checkvar.get. So not checkvar by itself, checkvar.get. Oh, that's weird. Whatever, but oh, we didn't pack the button. Yeah, I'll just write that pack. we go. Now if we go print. Oh, that's because I made the name of the function print, and you shouldn't do that because Python uses the word print for its other stuff. So we call it print check. Check, there we go. And then over here we'll have command print check. So hopefully now it'll work. Click print. Prints out nothing because nothing's selected. And if we click check button 1, it'll print out CB1 on, CB1 off, CB2 on, and then switch it off, CB2 off. Yeah, it'll just keep printing that. CB3 on, CB3 off. Now if we check. Oh, you can't check all three of them? That's weird. So yeah. Then again, we also have deselect. We have the deselect method and the select method for check buttons, so it does the exact same thing as for radio buttons. And that's about it for the check button widget. And so now we'll continue with the scale widget. So I'll delete all of this. We'll create a variable called scale1, just so we don't mess anything up. And then we have scale. We don't need to have the word widget in there, just scale. And basically, if I just pack this, I'll just pack it the regular way. Scale1.pack. Oops, let me also clear this. Okay, there we go. So this is what a scale widget looks like, and basically you can scale various numbers, and so by default it's from 0 to 1, and it increments by one integer. Oh wait, looks like, yeah, whatever. And I think it increments by 2 integers, yeah. But that's not really important. We'll go over various parameters for it. So the first parameter that we have is from, and it's not from like that. We have from underscore, and let's say from 0. No, to make it different, let's make it from 50. Then the next parameter is 2, and let's make it 250. And this will just change the settings of the scale widget. It starts from 50 and it goes up to 250. And we also have stuff like length. So let's set it to around about 300. There, it was a lot longer. But it still goes to 250. It doesn't go past 250. And you can also change by how many, like by how much it increments when you move the slider. So for that, we can use the resolution parameter. So resolution, it can be 1 is default. I mean, yeah, if you do this, I'll just increment by 1. And also 1 is not default. It changes based off of the length. So it can increment every 5 if the length is super small, or it can increment by 1. So let's change the resolution to 0.1 to see what will happen. There we go. And then when we move it, it changes by 0.1 when we move it. And next we have tick interval. And basically what this does is it creates like a list of numbers on the left, and it just shows you the values of what it shows you what value will be reached when the slider is at that point. So I'll keep resolution at 1, and then we'll have tick interval. And so basically it'll create a label every multiple of this number. So if you were to make it every multiple of 10, it'll have 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and so on. So it's it's not normal because we need to make the scale widget a bit longer. So we'll change length to 400. See how it looks. Yeah, there we go. So it starts from 50. Oh yeah, it doesn't start from 0 because it starts from 50, and then 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, up until 250. And basically, once you move the sliders to that point, once these match up, it's going to be 60, 60, 70, 70, 80, 80, and so on. It basically just, it's like, it shows you what the value will be. And if I were to do 1, it would show me every single time it's moved. And obviously, this won't fit. But if we were to do something like 50, we'll have only a couple. So 50, and then over here is 100. Here's 150. Over here is 200, and over here is 250. Next we have slider length. That's pretty self-explanatory. I just changed the length of the slider. So if you were to have, I don't know, 20, that would be pretty short. Yeah, as you can see, it became smaller. We can also make it bigger, so 200. There you go. And now we can just scroll normally. Yeah, that's pretty much the only purpose. It just changes the length of the actual slider. And we also have stuff like trough color. And it changes the color of the trough, so blue. I'm not sure if this will work for Mac. Oh yeah, it does work for Mac. So yeah, it just changes the color of this trough. I'm not sure if there's slider color. Let's see. Slider color. Yeah, there is no slider color. You can't change the color of the slider. And also we have stuff like command, and basically that's what it'll call that function every time the slider is moved. No matter how little the slider is moved, it'll still call the command. So call that function. Let's call it scale function. I'll create a function over here. Oh, what am I doing? Def scale function, and then I'll say it'll just print scale1.get. And yeah, we also have stuff like .get, and it'll get the value of the scale at this point. Oh yeah, that won't work because we need to, basically, since we have command set to scale function, it'll call the function with an argument, and that argument will be the value of the scale. In this case, let's set it to number, and then it'll just print number. Let me clear this because it's kind of messy. There you go. Now when we move this, as you can see, the number gets printed. So I can move it in slightly and it still gets printed. Now if we had a button, let's call it button 1 is equal to button, text is equal to print, and command is equal to print scale. And in this function, we will have print scale. There we go. Print scale1.get. And in this case, .get will work because we're not calling the command from we're not calling the command by using the scale. We're calling the command by clicking a button. And in this case, it'll work. Wait, okay. I will delete this so that we'll be able to see what's happening when we click the button. Otherwise, it'll get messy. I'll clear this. Now, let's set it to, I don't know, 110. Oh yeah, we didn't pack this. Button1.pack, and we run it. And go, let's set it like 120. Click the print button. Prints 120. We can do 50. It'll print 50. 250. It'll print 250, and so on. And then we also have dot set, and basically what this is, it sets the value of the slider or the scale widget. So we'll just have scale 1 dot set. Let's say 150. There you go. And run this. You know, you can move around, nothing happens, whatever. We set at 65, but then when you click this, it gets moved to 150. Move it somewhere else, click the button, it gets moved to 150. So yeah, this is pretty much it for the radio button, check button, and scale widget. Also, I forgot to mention there's another parameter called indicator on, and basically if you were to just run this just like this, we'd get two options, and we'd have these little circles. And as you can see, it prints out 1 when you click this, and it prints out 2 when you click this, because of the function that we have over here. But if you were to have indicator on set to false, and the same thing right here, it'll change the appearance of the two radio buttons. And basically now when you click on it, it gets like indented, and there you can select which one you want. Prints 1, prints 2. So I'll see you guys next class.